Hey guys, welcome to the mighty new Ford Ranger Raptor. So this is basically taking the previous generation's formula of, you know, big tires, hardcore suspension, puffy body, and just turning it up a notch. A big notch, in fact, because this now comes with a proper, potent engine separate to all other Ranger models. It's a 3-litre twin-turbo V6 petrol engine producing 292 kilowatts. Once again, it's got Fox racing suspension, but this time it's a sort of second-generation version of the Fox racing suspension. It's able to calculate movements much quicker than before, and it provides a really nice ride. It's actually better than any other Ranger in the showroom. The ride. And it's quite a comfortable sort of SUV-like driving experience, really. Even the handling is much better than it ought to be for a big truck like this. Again, it's got hardcore off-road tires or all-terrain tires. These are 285/70, even proper, you know, tread on the sidewalls there, so you can really rip through the mud. And then around at the back, you've got proper recovery points. There's 2 more at the front as well. And a little sort of Easter egg. There's a ruler along the back tailgate here, 130 centimetre ruler by the looks of it, which is could come in handy. I'm sure most tradies carry their own tools, but that's just an interesting little touch. The Raptor comes with this spray and bed liner, but you can option for a electronic blind that goes across, and that changes this to a sort of traditional tub liner. And you've got a 12-volt socket over there, 180 watt max it says, and then 2 lights for the bed as well. With the new model, they've made the tailgate feel really light, like it's not, I don't know if it is any lighter, but a Ford engineer said to me that it's just the way that they've designed it and where it hinges, like the geometry of it, that it just feels lighter. But yeah, it's very easy to open and close. I love the look of this thing, even though the midsection of the car is kind of carried over from before. They've left these, or they've put these concave indents in the doors there to try and hark back to previous generation Rangers, but the front and the back are completely new. But I think it all runs seamlessly as well. Even though the front is quite square and chunky, it does flow through fairly nicely. At the front is obviously inspired by the big American trucks like the F-150 and so on, with massive Ford letters running across the top there. This example has got the performance LEDs as well, very good lighting at night. And then there's those 2 tow hooks underneath. Some very clever touches, such as the front camera features a little washer. So if you're going through the mud and everything and that camera gets covered in mud, you can easily just wash it away, so you can continue to see out the front what you're driving over. It's also got full surround view cameras for parking and things. Awesome cameras, actually. The display inside gives you a very clear view of the car around you, helping with sort of confidence on the road, because this is a big car. For example, my wife drove this, and she's not interested in cars at all, but she said she found it very easy to drive. And then inside you've got these very sporty seats that are apparently inspired by a Raptor fighter jet. Yeah, good side bolstering there, and they look really good too. They look sort of modern, the way they're flat in the middle with these little Alcantara sections on the sides, and just, I don't know, they look like they're from a concept car. I'm not a fan of this big plastic trim piece here. It just looks like it's from 2005 or something, and it kind of throws off the interior when you first open the door. It'd be nice if they made that a bit more, I don't know, tucked in and just a bit neater to look at. And then once you're inside, it's actually a very, very practical and user-friendly place to be. Start button's on the side here where a key would normally go. I'm not a huge fan of this. I mean, sorry. This is a very impressive screen, especially for a ute. It's got great graphics. The loading is actually pretty good as well. I just don't like the way that there's no main menu or home screen. This is probably not going to be a problem for most people. It's just that I'm getting in and out of cars all the time, and most cars have a main hub that you can go to. I feel like I'm always deep in some menu every time I'm in the car, but I think that's the main menu. It's sort of, but even that's like a pull down page, but it's got, yeah, all your different main options like Bluetooth and radio and everything. You do have vehicle settings. You just push this little Ranger Raptor up the top there. You've got a huge variety of different settings actually. There's even a vehicle power down timer. I was sitting here talking on the phone and the car wanted to switch itself off, and I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. Now I've figured out that you can actually turn that off if you want to. But yeah, overall there's just so many options you can play around with. A very convenient button is this off-road settings page. So you just click that and it comes up with your main off-road settings, such as your front diff lock, rear diff lock, and then if you've got the hill descent control and things like that on or off. And then here's your drive modes. You can toggle through. You've got normal, sport, slippery, mud ruts, sand, and then sorry, I'm not sure if you can see that, a Baja mode, which is like a rally. It even says off-road use only, see manual. But yeah, and a number of modes that you can go through. It's all quite exciting, and yeah, it just makes you want to live with this car for quite a while to fully get used to it. I think what I love most about it though is that it is practical, as I said. So you've got a nice little proper rubber lined shelf just there for the passenger, twin glove boxes. You've got a little one up the top there and another one down below, a wireless phone charger. I've got my phone upside down there because I don't want it to go off and then, yeah, distract you with any messages or whatever. And then just here you've got a pocket for the key, or actually if you look closely at the bottom there, you'll see there's a little symbol for French fries, which I think is a little Easter egg that they've put in there. So you can put, you know, large French fries there and it will stand up nicely. You've also got USB and USB-C ports, nice big center console box, and yeah, it just feels like it's a very well made car. I love this. It's sort of neoprene, sort of wetsuit material along the dash and the door trims. It feels like a quality car. Overhead you've got auxiliary switches, so you can connect various things, and it's sort of pre-wired, and then they come up to here, so you can easily just connect, you know, some spotties on the front there, or a LED light bar in the back or something like that. The Raptor comes standard with a B&O sound systems, really good sound system, heaps of bass, good clarity. Yeah, you couldn't want anything more. So I am getting used to these door handles, although I'm not sure if you can see that, but it feels like that handle is around the wrong way, because I'll just close it because it's beeping at me. It feels like that little panel there is around the wrong way because it's very sharp on this side where you actually put your hand, whereas if that section was where you put your hand, it would actually feel a bit nicer. But the top edge of it is you know, it's not sharp, but it's getting towards sharp. And it just doesn't feel quite so ergonomic. If that was flipped around, I think it would be much nicer to grab. But there is a little indent behind there that you can rest your fingertips into, so it gives you a bit of grip, I suppose. And then in the back, plenty of room, decent headroom. There's actually a concave section there for extra head clearance. The seat back is a bit firm, but you know, most utes are kind of like that. I like the way they are contoured, like the front seats, and you've got these little Alcantara sections for a bit of extra grip. There is a center cup holder thing, but you really have to give it a yank. It's got a little latch there, but to release it, I don't know, you just got to pull it quite hard. But it's good that it's got that anyway. Climate vents, and then yet again a USB and USB-C charging port. Pockets in both sides of the seats, and a decent size bottle holder with extra space at the back there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's more space towards the back of the of that pocket there. Overall, you could use this as a family car, although I don't quite understand families that buy twin cab utes, because where do you put your shopping? I mean, you can put it in the back there, but that's just going to fly around and smash against the walls, and by the time you get home you've just got a soup of all of your groceries. But anyway, I can definitely see the appeal for these types of cars, because they just do everything. Let's go for a drive now and see what it goes like. this new electronic ratchet shifter is, it took them apparently a few days or something. I can't remember what the engineer said. He said it took ages for them to design this. They wanted something that still has that mechanical feel and look of a gear shifter, but it's you push the button in at the front and you can actually hear it, but there's a little latch that opens up and then it just freely falls back and forwards. The problem I have with it, or have had with it, is it's very easy to accidentally go into park instead of reverse. You know, when you're parking and things like that and you go on drive reverse, it's very easy to skip reverse and go into park, or not move it enough or forward enough and you go into neutral instead. It would be good if they had some sort of definite notches as well as the button system. There is a good reason for this though, and yeah, you'll see a bit of magic. So what happens if you put it into, if you leave it in drive, put the handbrake on, take your seatbelt off, open the door, it goes into park all by itself. So the electronics there, the whole reason for it to be electronic is so it can do that, for extra safety. Just before we go, I want to show you what it sounds like, from the driver's seat anyway. Lots of beeps and things with new cars. So I've just opened the door and it's beeping at me because I've just opened the door. You've got a little button down here for the exhaust, which you can go through a quiet, normal, sport and Baja mode. Almost said bar jar. When you're idling, I don't notice a big difference. You'll see now 0 to 100 in engine sound video that there's no big difference when you're idling. It's not until you dial in some revs that you start to get that throatiness, even when you're revving it on the spot. So this is in Baja mode. Yep. And I'll put it back into the quiet mode. So this will be a little bit quieter, I think. You can still hear that V6 raspiness a bit higher in the rev range from, you know, sort of 3000 RPM and above. But the normal mode, it's got that sort of baritone sound similar to the Baja mode, at least when you're sitting here. When you're driving, you can hear more of a difference. And there is a mechanical noise from the back as you go through these modes. So something is actually opening. It's just when you're idling, you don't notice, well, I can't notice a big difference. Whereas some sports cars, you know, you get in and you push the exhaust on, say, I don't know, a Jaguar or one of the RS Audis or something like that. As soon as you hit that button, it's click and then a proper brrr, like it changes the tone completely. Whereas this, it doesn't do it as much when you're idling. Not really a complaint, just an observation really. To start with, we'll drive on the road. I've got it in the normal exhaust mode. You can have it in the quiet mode as I showed you, and it's definitely a bit quieter, but I like the normal mode. It's pretty good. It's got a bit of bass there, lets everyone know that this is not the old diesel model that they had. So this comes with all the safety gear that you expect from a modern car, not just a ute. It's got lane keeping assist. I like to turn that off, and I love that this has just got a single button. Bang, lane keeping assist system is off. A lot of cars, particularly the Isuzu D-Max and Mazda BT50, they've fixed it now with a button on the steering wheel, but the first series of the latest generation model You had to go into this menu in the instrument cluster. You could only do it when you were in park and stopped, well, obviously. And it was just, yeah, very, very annoying. But not only that, it was quite an over-the-top system. So it would be always pulling at the steering wheel, whereas this, it's a very smart system and it doesn't intrude anyway. So it's quite good just to leave it on. This is a pretty rough road, and the suspension is just soaking it up beautifully. It's got the comfort of a good SUV. Plenty of travel, obviously, as well, and the big balloony tires obviously contribute to some degree. But yeah, it's a very good suspension setup for normal driving. Even if you don't care about the performance benefits of this car or the performance attractive features of this car, just driving it as a normal car, it's the most comfortable ute on the market, easily. And it's the best handling too, in my opinion. Although the big tires, off-road style tread is obviously not optimum for on-road grip, but yeah, the way it leans through the corners and braces itself through the corners, it's really good. We'll go out onto some mountain roads in a minute and I'll show you. It cruises just fine on the highway. You've got adaptive cruise control. I love that you can just hit the button once and it just activates straight away. You don't have to push any second buttons. And then you can change the speed, obviously, with the little plus and minus. Yeah, as I was saying, that the safety systems are actually really good. They're not over the top or over intrusive. So I'll put the lane keep assist back on. And I think you can actually take the hands off your wheel. You're not meant to do this, by the way. But I'll just show you that it's not bouncing in between the lanes. A lot of the crude systems out there, they'll just wait to a certain point and bang back into the lane. Whereas it's making constant little adjustments to keep you centered. It's just saying there, put your hands back on the steering wheel. But yeah, see, just then it noticed the truck was there. It didn't slam the brakes on. Some of the modern systems out there, if a car pulls in front of you, even if it's going faster than you, it'll slam the brakes on and then calculate, oh, it's actually going faster than you, I can speed back up now, waste fuel and accelerate back up to speed. Whereas this, yeah, it seems to be in sync with what the traffic's doing and actually reading what other cars are doing, and not being over the top. The ride comfort's very good. This is a concrete highway that's got a lot of little bumps, little connections in it, but this, I can't even feel them. If you're in a little hot hatch or something like that, it's you can hear each little connection, whereas this is just ironing straight over any bumps. It's really comfortable. You could definitely go for a big family trip in this car and yeah, and feel comfortable the whole time. Good visibility as well all around, even through the back window. You've got a massive back window. I'll try and line that up for you. I'm not sure where the camera is sitting exactly, but yeah, good clear view out the back. Big side mirrors, so you can see almost into your blind spot. It sort of bends around slightly, the mirror there, but you've got blind spot warning anyway. There it is there, showing me that, yeah, there's a car in the way, but you could already see that anyway. So yeah, nice big mirrors to give you clear visibility. And where this car was born though is off the road, so we'll hit the dirt road now and see what it's like. So I've been along this road with some dual cab utes with leaf springs at the back, and it is quite jittery when you don't have a load in the back. Whereas this, it's even pretty quiet, you know, like it's like as I said, it's like a comfortable SUV. It's really not, shouldn't be categorized as a dual cab ute in terms of the suspension quality. There's a bit of corrugation along here as well. You can kind of hear it, but yeah, it's not, the steering wheel's hardly even vibrating. Yeah, it's just made for this sort of stuff. Some potholes, no trouble at all. It's yeah, it's pretty amazing. Okay, so here's a nice little loop that I usually do with the with four-wheel drives. It's not hardcore at all, but I feel like it's probably where most typical buyers, you know, this is the maximum they'll want to do with their brand new ute or SUV. So it's a good sort of baseline test There is a bit of a boggy section. We have had some rain, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But to start with, I'll just leave it in two-wheel drive. We can have a little bit of a play. I'll just turn the stability and traction control off. So there's the boggy section over there. I'll try and get the camera on the outside to give you a shot of what it looks like as we're going through. You can turn the stability and traction off while you're in rear-wheel drive. I'll put it in sport mode as well, so it's in normal there. That's sport. And it likes to go into four-wheel drive as soon as you put it into sport, but what you can do is go back into rear-wheel drive, and you get the little 2H symbol at the bottom there. And you can also actually lock the rear differential even in two-wheel drive, which I find pretty interesting. Not many utes, although I can't even think of one ute that you can do this. You might be able to in the Land Cruiser 70 series, although I'm not 100% on that, but you can lock the back. Got it in neutral just to free it up a bit, and it's locked in two-wheel drive, so that's pretty cool. I'm not sure why you'd ever want to do that, aside from if you want to do donuts or, you know, do a bit of rallying. It doesn't actually, you know, if you require traction of both rear wheels, you're probably better off just putting it into 4A or 4H. But anyway, I'll leave that on. By the way, you should not drive with the diff lock on a tarmac surface. You have to have, you don't have to, but you'll probably break it if you do, because both wheels are basically locked together. So as you go around a corner, the inside wheel has to spin a bit faster, but if the diff's locked, that's going to want to cause, you know, a bit of wheel spin on the inside wheel, and it really tension up the axles. So if you're on the dirt, it doesn't matter because it can just slip on the dirt anyway. There's a bit of a bump down here, but this has no problem going over it. It feels like a bit of a monster truck, really. It just doesn't care. Okay, we've got a bit of a tree down here, so I don't think we're going to get through. That's all right, we can go back through the other way. So I'll turn the diff lock off now while we're doing a U-turn, just to free it up a bit. So now you've got that top view, you can see all around the car. This is not a good sort of terrain to be able to see, but when you're in a parking lot, you know, you can see the lines and then the fresh tarmac, and if there's a garden there or something like that. Whereas this is, it's kind of all a bit consistent and a bit camouflage. You can't really see the details as much. But yeah, there's it's got a lot of detail there. And when you go into drive, it goes back to the forward camera. Oh yeah, I'll show you that that washer. So you got the forward camera on, you just hit the windscreen washer, and it's spraying the front camera there as well. That's pretty cool. Well, not cool, just very thoughtful, really. Okay, so I'll put the diff lock back on while we're driving. It's locked it back up again. I just think that's so cool that you can do that. If you've got a farm or something, yeah, you can definitely have a lot of fun in this, especially if you leave it in rear-wheel drive. Okay, so down here is quite a steep dipper. It probably doesn't look like it's very steep on camera. It never does usually, but you can kind of tell how steep it is by, you know, how high it goes up the other side. But it's got this sort of very slippery mud on the other side there. So I'll come back down and use the hill descent control and show you how that works. But we'll also go up and see how it goes, see how these tires really rip into the terrain. Now, there was a little deer running through here a second ago. I don't want to hit it. I think he's gone. So yeah, this is quite steep up here. It definitely probably doesn't look like it, but it does it so easily. not even any problems at all. It's like it's saying, yeah, what's that? Like a driveway. But yeah, I'll go back down and I'll show you how the hill descent control works. It's pretty good. So basically, hill descent control, it just helps you maintain a set speed safely. So if you're using the brakes, you know, you might lock up the wheel and then you've got no steering, and then all of a sudden you're off into the side hitting a tree. So hill descent control uses its own brains to slow the wheels down, including gearing, just to make sure that it doesn't lock up. So we just get onto the hill. You just push this button here. I already had it on. Hill descent control. Sorry, trail control off. I already had it on, sorry. So just hit this little button here. Trail control enabled. And then all you have to do is use the cruise control button here to set the speed. So I'll set it at 2 kilometers an hour, and it won't go over 2 kilometers an hour. 3, 4, you've got, yeah, infinite adjustment. Keep it to 4 kilometers an hour, and it won't lock up the wheel. So that way you can always steer through anything, and it will just stay at that nice controlled speed. So feet completely off the pedals. Easy. As I said, this is pretty steep. It doesn't look like it. I mean, it's not the steepest thing in the world, but if I were to get out and try and walk up there, I'd probably slip over just from the steepness and how slippery it is. And when you're finished, you can just, yeah, hit the gas pedal and you just go. It's like it automatically turns off. So it's very seamless in its operation. Puddle, might as well go through it. So some boggy stuff down here. We might be able to leave it in rear-wheel drive, or put it in rear-wheel drive rather. So you shouldn't really go flat out through puddles, but I know this road pretty well. And it's not too deep, but it's, you can lose steering when you go through too fast, and you can also, you know, pop off your number plate and things, because all the water has to go through in a rush, and it can do some minor damage underneath if you go, you know, ridiculous speeds. I think it went into like third gear, spinning the wheels. But again, I've got the stability control turned off, so if you leave it on, you know, you can go through a bit more sensibly and effortlessly, actually, without, you know, causing too much drama. You just get the sense this thing could go absolutely anywhere. It's like a monster truck. The clearances, it never seems to scrub out. And it never gets bogged down in anything, and with that power you can just power your way out of pretty much any situation. So just here we've got quite a steep little rut, and it still doesn't even snag the front. The approach angle is really good. The back, this one's got a tow bar on it, so I mean if you touch anything, it's just going to be the tow bar, so it doesn't matter so much. But yeah, it's a really good off-roader. Like it has to be one of the best off-roaders, production off-roaders you can get at the moment. We'll just go back up this little bit here and see how it gets up this big rut. There's quite a big one here. Doesn't seem bothered by it at all, but this one up here is definitely pretty chunky. And yet doesn't even scrape or anything. Like, it just goes over it like it doesn't even matter. It's I just can't say good enough things about this car. Like, off-road, it's just built for this sort of thing, and you can just tell that it will pretty much conquer whatever you want to throw it at, you know, without causing damage or anything like that. Really good job. Just simple as that. So we've got a bit of an idea of what this car can do 0 to 100 on the road. What about off the road? Well, I've got the V-Box connected up, the car's all programmed in, ready to go, air conditioning's off. I've got the car in Baja mode, just because why not, and we'll lock the rear differential as well and see what it can do. So I'll bring the engine revs up a little bit on the brake just to help it get a slingshot start. That's ready to go. Yeah, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty much the same as it is on the road, really. We'll pull over and see what it actually did. It looks like it's done 6.4. Yep, 6.39 seconds off the road. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's really good, actually. It's a testament to the engineering of the drive system for off-roading. Once you're done playing around in the mud, you can put it back into the normal modes. I've got it in sport mode at the moment, and it drives, you know, almost like a sports car in that it's engaging, it's fast, and it handles really well. What I like most about the handling is its resistance to body roll. So when you just tip it into a corner like this, where you're going pretty high speed, the front, it doesn't lean on the front corner. It sort of just stays flat and braces itself for the turn. Whereas a lot of utes, you know, you'll turn in and the weight will really shift over to that front corner, put a lot of weight on that front tire as well. Even though this does have big balloony tires, it seems to stay very flat and just want to keep turning through the corner. Even at 100 kilometers an hour, it's got great stability. It doesn't feel like it's a top-heavy truck, you know, swaying in the breeze. It feels like a much more serious, hunkered down, like not quite a sports car, but it's definitely getting there, and far better than, you know, any other Ranger or any other ute for that matter that I can think of that's currently on the market. The engine really transforms this car though, like or this truck. Compared with the old 4-cylinder diesel, it's now got the power to match its looks and even its underlying capability. The suspension feels like it can handle a lot of power. You can floor it. Awesome sound. Yeah, it's like a contrast. You don't think it's going to go as well as it does. See, around here, like, it's a big arc, big sweeping bend, and it just braces itself nicely around there. I'll just slow it right down for you so you can experience a bit of the acceleration. So 40 k's an hour, floor it. It really gets up and goes. For a car like this, you just don't expect it to have that sort of performance. And it sounds awesome. It really sounds awesome. I'm not sure you need 4 exhaust modes. Maybe just the 2 is probably enough, you know, just a standard mode and a sport mode. But anyway, good to have the option there anyway. Overall, it's a phenomenal machine, and, you know, hats off to Ford for creating such a good overall package. It's exciting, it's fast, it does burnouts, it does jumps, but yet it's very refined and comfortable inside. It's a great all-round effort. It's no wonder that I think 3 car journalists in Australia now have bought one of these. including Paul Marrick from Car Expert. If you haven't checked out his video of this, the new Raptor, go check it out. It's really good. He gets into the real nitty-gritty details of it and puts it to the test on and off the road. We will have our usual written review coming up soon, and the full performance test. In the meantime, thanks for watching.